I'm Alessandra Barrett, Special Projects Editor at JOC, and I'm at our 15th annual TPM conference in Long Beach, and I'm speaking with Noel Hacegaba, Chief Commercial Officer for the Port of Long Beach. Thanks for speaking with me today, Noel.
My pleasure, Alessandra.
So what are the immediate plans for clearing the backlog at the port?
Our top priority is to clear the backlog. That's what our customers expect, and that's what we plan to deliver. We expect that over the next 2 to 3 weeks is a time period that we need to clear the backlog. And we expect that over the next 90 days is a time period we need to return to normal. Obviously, if we can clear the backlog and return to normal operations quicker than that, that will be our priority.
Recently, the Port of Long Beach and Los Angeles announced an agreement that was made between 3 local chassis companies to come together in a pool and offer a gray chassis fleet. Is that as historic as it sounds?
It's a major breakthrough. If you look back at history, over the last 50 years, chassis were owned and managed by the ocean carriers. When they announced plans a few years back that they would be divesting themselves of those assets, it became a priority to understand how this important equipment in the port complex would be managed. We had 3 chassis companies that entered the picture, private companies, and individually they each managed and operated their own pools. When we had the congestion last fall, the chassis became a critical point of failure in that there were not enough. The reason for that is because different chassis companies had different contracts with different carriers and different operators. And so a truck driver would pick up a container at one terminal, but would have to drop off or pick up a chassis at a different terminal. This gray fleet that was recently announced by the 3 companies in partnership with Ports of LA and Long Beach allows this interoperable function, which means that the 3 pools will come together under a large pool, a single pool concept that will facilitate the availability of chassis and will no longer split shifts among the truckers who in the past were required to drop off a container at one terminal and drop off the chassis at another. So this is truly historic, it's groundbreaking, it comes at a good time. We need chassis to be optimized in order to clear the surge in volumes, in order to facilitate the throughput and movement of cargo in our gateway.
So how exactly will the pool of pools work? What are the mechanics of it?
The 3 pool companies have entered into an agreement that essentially allows their assets that are independently managed and owned to be interused. And the way it works is that while the 3 companies will continue to operate independently and have their own contracts and set their own prices, the assets themselves will be interusable between the 3 pools. There will be a third party, a separate entity comprised of representatives from each of the pool companies that will be managing the flow of the chassis throughout the complex. So it's a very simple mechanism to bring an asset that is vital to the movement of goods in our gateway to an optimal level. And we're certainly very supportive of this. In fact, if you look at what's happened since the time that the ocean carriers announced that their divestment of chassis, both Ports of LA and Long Beach came together, and we're in the process of identifying models that would serve the complex. And what you see here in this announcement is a fruition of that, but we certainly applaud DCLI, FlexiBand, and Track for all their efforts and for their support and for their responsiveness in trying to bring a common sense solution to some of our chassis issues.
Now, is the Port of Long Beach doing anything separate in addition to this to help alleviate that congestion?
In order to give our customers the confidence that they need in our gateway, in addition to this great chassis fleet, the Port of Long Beach is investing in our own peak relief chassis pool. We are making plans and we are underway in acquiring a chassis pool that will be used exclusively for peak relief. And this will be a pool that the Port of Long Beach will own. We're going to be hiring an entity that will partner with us to manage the fleet for us. But our intent is to make sure that the chassis shortage and the chassis imbalance that we saw last fall will not happen again. That's our assurance to our customers. That's what they expect, that's what they demand, and that's why we're going to be making that investment.
Well, thanks again for sitting down and having a conversation with me.
Anytime, my pleasure.
I've been speaking with Noel Hacegaba, Chief Commercial Officer for the Port of Long Beach.